Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Mike.
Yeah, hello.
Good morning. And
Hi.
Nick is here.
Hey.
Hey. Gali's back.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And Steve is here.
Hello, I'm waving too.
Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software, Wirecast Software, and sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Boy. So,
Good morning.
Morning. So you spent the storm in DC.
Yeah. Something that was planned before just coincided and provided us excellent weather because DC was cloud covered, so we could walk around the city and not get burnt. There was no rain. It was cool enough. So yeah, it turned out good.
Nice.
Chicken.
Nick is back with us too here. Nick is back with power and internet and computers and everything is I can't I don't know that I can say everything is back to normal, Nick, but
That's
for the most part.
pretty close.
What did you learn from your first?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to reflect on it yet.
Mike, were you going to say something to him?
Yeah, I don't remember what it'll come to me.
Oh,
I was
okay.
just going to comment that the local pilots group has had a lot of volunteer pilots meet at RDU, collect all sorts of supplies and things to get to people in areas where they can't get in by the roads. Apparently, there are still some towns and cities where the roads are blocked and they
Mhm.
can't get adequate supplies in.
Well, I'll tell you firsthand. There's a lot of falsehood with that notion going around. Even politicians, oh, you can't get to so and so. It's just not true. I mean, some of the main roads are blocked, yes, but there's a lot of hysteria about getting in and out of places, which is odd.
Well, as a case in point, there was a guy down in, I forget where it is, some little small nothing town in the northeastern part of the state. And he's homebound. He doesn't leave his home, and he had only 2 days worth of insulin left.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, what's he going to do? So, I mean, it's not like law enforcement's going to get in the car and navigate the streets and the highways to go get it for him. So they were able to find some, and they flew it to him.
Yeah, well, that's very good.
And that's what they were trying to get through to people. Look, this is not your typical pickup truck hauling service. This is quite expensive. Let's only get the most urgent stuff. And a lot of what this I don't understand. I mean, it's hard not to get cynical or critical in these times because if you live on 95 East, you'd better have a week's worth of supplies at all times because these storms are not rare. They don't happen every day, but they certainly aren't rare. And two, I'll just be clear about it. Two of the most needed items were feminine hygiene products and baby supplies. baby formula.
Hmm.
How can you not have 2 weeks worth of baby formula in a can
Right.
sitting on your shelf at your house?
That's what I was. That's what I was going to say. I mean, the guy with 2 days worth of insulin. I mean, they were saying days before, that you need to make
Well,
sure that you have enough of your
Oh,
medication and
2
food.
weeks of beforehand. I mean,
well, here's a guy who's homebound. It's real easy for us to say, "Why didn't you?" And you should have to somebody
I know.
like him.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But and I'm being sarcastic. I mean, that's it's easy to say, it's hard to justify because we don't know all the circumstances.
Right.
And I would say if there were 1,000 people down there in that situation and something's wrong somewhere, there's something wrong in the drinking water. But here's a guy who miscalculated, has probably been through a number of these, didn't think it was going to happen. He misjudged. Okay, shame on you. That doesn't mean he should die from lack of insulin.
No, you're right. You're
But,
absolutely
but
right.
I don't understand not having baby formula. I mean, my gosh, we would die for our children. And
Hmm.
even if we didn't have preparations for ourselves, we would have enough to take care of the children. So I don't know. It blows my mind. Maybe somebody can explain it to me.
Hopefully, people learn from that. I mean,
Yeah, they
even
don't.
even us talking about it, other people next door may learn something from it. Say, "Oh
No,
yeah, I
and
remember."
we have a very high class viewership here, so
Yeah.
our people already know these things. We're preaching to the choir. It's people who it's everyone else who doesn't watch the show that needs to learn.
Yeah. And the death toll is climbing and climbing and climbing, and they said
And I
that it
don't
will.
understand that. What? Because I haven't, you guys have kept up with it. What? How are people dying from the storm?
I'm not sure I've been keeping up with it.
It's
And
mainly from what I hear, it's people that have drowned. They couldn't get to them, so they didn't know that they died. And now that they're getting around into homes and stuff like that, they find people that drowned. And that's how it is. It's not like they are dying today from it. It's they did, but nobody knew about it. And it's sad. Uh, I mean, the first night when we saw what was happening in New Bern, you knew that there's going to be a lot of people over there that are going to get it.
I still don't
It's
understand. I
sad.
mean, if it's people, elderly people who are unable to get out of their homes and things, yeah, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it,
No.
but there are just so many people who are willing to help that I do hope that those people who found themselves in an unfortunate situation, I do hope that they will plan better for the future. I mean, even minimally, even get a couple of cases of formula, baby formula.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to have not
Well,
not.
don't say
I
no
mean, I
reason.
mean,
Just
I would think that you would want to have it anyway.
well, but we're kind of hoarders and we're kind of preppers in that regard. A lot of other people, let's be honest, a lot of people don't have enough money to buy an extra case.
Okay, now you're getting into a completely different part of the argument. Yeah, if you don't have the money to buy it, obviously, it's like when we asked Nick to come up here, and he said, "Well, there's no, I don't want to. There's a lot of things that I need to do here, and I can't." And all. And I said, "Like what?" He said, "I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this." And I-40's not passable anyway. So I said, "Well, that's good enough right there. If you can't get on I-40 to come up here, so all the rest of the reasons are meaningless." And by the way, did they open I-40?
Nope.
Wow,
Where
wow.
is the problem? What's washed out on I-4? Is it just underwater or is part of the road washed out?
No, part of it's underwater.
Okay, so the road is not damaged, it's just not
Well,
passable.
they don't know that they don't know if it is or
Yeah, because it's underwater.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Where?
pretty. I'm trying to look right now. Of course, NCDOT's website is down.
Huh. Yeah,
Appears
it's
to be around exit 373.
I don't know where that is off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I
their
think that
website was up.
I think the reason that they closed it for such a big stretch is not because it was all underwater. It's because that was where you could get off, and then that was where you can get back on. So
Near
they didn't
Wallace,
want people.
according to John.
Mhm.
That sounds right.
And I guess it's a federal highway. How does that happen? How is there
Mm.
not proper drainage to keep an interstate highway open? I mean, in terms of national emergency, that's a critical supply line.
Yes, it is. Now there were other ways to get to Wilmington on road, but it was like going around and
You
about.
have to go up towards Jacksonville and hit 17 and take 17 all the way down to Wilmington.
Okay, it took Johnny 5 hours to get there.
That was the day after the storm, though.
Right.
It's much better now.
Of course, but I'm saying even then he got there, but it was a game of stop and go and turn around and find a different route and that sorts of things.
One of my customers wanted to take water down. They hit a whole bunch of bottled water, and they didn't know how to get there. And he asked, and I said, I don't know. The next day, I had a customer here who knew. And I said, hold on a second. Let me call Jimmy. He said, you go down to Clinton, you get on, I don't remember, 241, 242, 241, 117, and it's open all the way. So there were ways to get there, only it wasn't like driving just to go see Nick. It would take hours and hours and hours. But thank God it's over. And now
Well,
it's
unless
just
the storm intensifies offshore and comes back.
That is not going to happen. Anything you read about that is absolute BS.
watch it. This is what Greg Fischel said about it going down south. Said I'm not buying it. The European model doesn't know what they're talking about.
Neither of it. No, I mean, that is
Who turned out to be right on predicting the storm's path, Nick?
who?
That was
Buddy.
my question. Who?
What are you talking about? A person or a model?
No. Let me ask the question this way. So when the storm is 2-3 days out, we're hearing all this hysteria, all of the Weather Channel, the RAL wackos, all these. Everybody's got their own theories. You've got.
Nobody's got. Hold on a second. That's not true at all. Everybody was basing it off of the National Hurricane Center
I
and
don't
the
care what
Euros
their
forecast.
I don't care what their source of information is. When I'm sitting there watching Greg Fishhead talk about his nonsense, then I don't care where he gets his information. He has to decide whether to agree or disagree with the model and the information he receives.
Okay.
My question to you is, without regard for where they get their information and or how they interpret it, what source of information would have, in retrospect, turned out to be most accurate? I mean, Joe Bastardi said it was going to hit the coastline and then turn left and go down to Florida.
Nobody.
None of them. None of them.
None of them. The model that I can tell you exactly what happened. The models did not pick up on a very high level shear, over 50 knots of shear at 250 millibars when it was about 100 miles off the coast. Nothing picked up on it, and that just ripped the storm to pieces. Now it didn't hit as a Category 4, but the rain effects that had been predicted, it turned out to be worse than were forecasted. So part of the path was spot on. The European model was spot on with the path. It hit exactly where it was supposed to. Wrightsville Beach. It's exactly where it was predicted to hit.
I'm talking about after it hit the shoreline.
Oh, after the shoreline, it did exactly what everybody thought it was going to do. It pulled into the shore. It shot down towards Myrtle Beach. It shot over towards Greenville, South Carolina, followed a trough up to the northeast, and now is back out to sea.
But Nick, that's not what the first model said. The first
Well, I understand that's not what the first model said, but
model said it was going to wipe out Wilmington and then go all the way straight over Raleigh.
Yes, and that changed within 48 hours of the storm or so.
Right.
So
the question then again is, next time there's a storm, who should I watch to get the best prediction?
You're not. I mean, you're asking a question that nobody has an answer to. It's a weather model. It's imperfect information. It's an educated guess. I mean, it's not 1 + 1 = 2.
I can tell you what I did, because we were worried for the incoming flight of our family. So they were flying into Washington D.C. So we didn't know whether it's going to affect it or not. And the only thing I watched was the exact data on the National Hurricane watching site. Just see the models as they evolve every hour, every day, and that's it. No commentary. Don't listen to anyone because everyone is just forming their own opinion. I can form my own opinion as well. It's just look at the data, and you could see every 5 to 8 hours, you could see a shift in the movement, and you can see that uh, the most common models or how they shift. So you just need to get an educated guess of how to read statistics, and that's it. At that point, it's no longer a meteorologic only assessment, right? It's the data is out there. That's what we did anyway. And yeah, it was scary, but as the days progress, you see that the models show something a bit different. You look at the shift of the models, and none of the news outlet, none of them talked about it.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, the models were pretty consistent. I mean, the European model had the storm now down for about 8 days straight about where it was going to make landfall. The GFS was all over the place, but the National Hurricane Center did not shift a whole lot on their track. In total, they shifted their cone of uncertainty less than 150 miles from 5 days out. That's pretty impressive. Um, in retrospect, they pretty much nailed the track of the storm with their final forecasts, which is not happened in time. The Irma last year, they botched Irma, the storm that hit Florida last year. They totally botched Irma. They said it was going to make landfall. It skirted the coast, and that was it. So, I mean, they work with the best information they have, and unfortunately, it's not an exact science.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying that in retrospect, somebody got it righter than somebody else.
Well, I mean, every the writer thing was the I mean, anybody could just make something up, and they could be the writer person, but
REL does. They just make it up.
but there was no information. Nobody had any information to make a valid. Now, Mike, you're right. Somebody could have had come up with the quote unquote right solution, but it wasn't based off any scientific evidence. It was just based off that's what they said. And I'm not going to take that and run with anything. I mean, I could have just made up a number and said, "Oh, could happen," but you're not basing it off anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's a handful of computer systems that plot the hurricane, and
Well,
that's the only information that's available.
I go back to what I've said for years, and that is that these weather predictors need to start using the global warming computer for these predictions because that thing is accurate to within 1 degree over 100 years. So if it's that accurate, then we should use it. This thing can predict a 1 degree temperature rise over 100 years. So that's sarcasm, folks.
Yeah, we got
Well, I mean, the thing that I would never forget this, and I would still say that that official blew it when he stood there and said, "This will never happen. I'm not buying this. This will never happen." As a forecaster, I don't think you have the luxury of saying such a thing and reassuring people that, yeah, no, it's going to go up north. It's not going to go south.
Well, he's an idiot, but
It just this
again, that was just a guess based off nothing. I mean that,
right, exactly.
but that's what I'm saying. Somebody could have been right, but I mean that's just I don't know.
All
Greg
right.
is not an idiot. It's as he told a friend of his, look, guys, I'm close to retirement. In other words, I need to protect my retirement. I need to do what the boss says. It's unfortunate.
Anyway,
The communication down here was pretty badly hit by the storm. For a period of time, I did not have cell service. AT&T's network was down in the area where I stayed for, I would say, at least 36 hours or so. I had to walk probably about a quarter of a mile to get AT&T to come up with a single bar. Fortunately, I have an iPhone, so I was able to use iMessage and whatnot because I had Wi-Fi. But the cell networks were pretty badly hit. A lot of radio stations off the air. Some of the TV stations had some problems. It was interesting.
I was going to ask you, a day before the storm, you went and took sandbags over to the transmitter, and you said, "I'm sandbagging it."
Yep.
Did water ever get in that place?
No.
Did it get around it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I really don't have a way to tell. I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't see any
Evidence.
yeah, I didn't see any evidence, so I don't think it did. The storm surge ended up not being quite so bad in this area. The storm surge was a little more to the north, up in the New Bern area.
Mhm. Yep.
But downtown Wilmington's underwater right now. The Cape Fear River's swelling.
When is it
three-
supposed to?
For the next couple days, 3 blocks of downtown are underwater right now. I mean, I'm looking at a Facebook Live right now with a news crew that's out there. Water Strait is is underwater.
Scary.
Yep.
919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. All right. I want to mention that at 10:30 we going to have a guest, Marcus Kutchler from UDock, and he's going to talk about the new docking station that they came up with. So 10:30. Okay, so what else is happening technology-wise? Besides the fact that eBay banned or whatever stopped services for InfoWars.
Isn't that nice?
I really don't understand. I mean, big
incredible.
companies like that taking sides or whatever. I mean, what? He sells stuff. Well, how does it affect you? You know, I can say, okay, maybe I understand Facebook. They don't want that information on their system. But what do you have on eBay? You have money changing hands. What's the big deal? This is definitely collusion.
Oh, no, don't worry. I mean, a scammer is allowed to charge you on PayPal and is able to scam you on PayPal, and that's all right. But God forbid somebody sells a product on there that politically PayPal doesn't agree with. They've got to ban the account. Yet somebody can go and steal my life savings through a PayPal transaction, and they'll tell me I'm SOL. So it's great.
Actually, PayPal is the last place that you can get scammed because because they always side with the buyer. I mean, a lot of people don't use PayPal because of that reason, that if you sell something for $100 and somebody then complains that, no, you didn't get the right thing, they take $100 off of that account and put it in escrow. No questions asked.
You're talking about through eBay.
I'm talking about PayPal. eBay doesn't do money.
I understand, but what are you buying through PayPal that isn't? You're talking about
no. When you
things.
buy eBay, or it doesn't matter. You can buy eBay a lot of places. PayPal. I mean, I go to Home Depot and I pay with my PayPal account.
Oh.
You can, and because when you are a seller, they have access to your bank account. They can always get the money out, even if you don't. Even if you have $0 in your PayPal account, they'll take it out of your bank, and then okay, now let's straighten it out and see what. But first, they take the money out. So if it is a scam, you're not going to be scammed. So that cannot be their reasoning. that he's
They're
scamming people.
no, I'm not. I'm saying that they allow people to get scammed on PayPal all the time.
Oh yeah, allow. Oh, I didn't hear that. Yeah,
Yeah, they allow
Yeah.
people to get scammed, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they freeze people's accounts for no reason, which they've done to me multiple times.
Right.
I've got to sit there for 6 months with all my money tied up in PayPal,
Yep.
going through some stupid review for nothing.
Right. So this is one of the things, and the other thing that stands out this week is that Apple showed their new hardware line.
They did. New iPhones are coming out.
And what do you think?
They're
I was
They're-
reading that I can't remember who was it. iFixit took the phones apart, the new ones, and it's the
Yeah.
same as the 8 and the 10, the old 8 and 10, except the battery.
well, the screen sizes are different.
Yeah, but the mechanism behind it.
Oh, they've got new hardware.
I don't know. They were saying that it was
So it's the iPhone XS. Let me
Yeah.
go to Apple's website and get the actual names. It's the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max. Terrible names. Absolutely terrible names.
tongue twisters.
Well, don't say that. I think after people start say XS, they'll pronounce Shkolnik properly. So
So they've got that. I don't know what happened to the numbers. They've gone away from that. The XS is 5.8 inches, which I believe is the size of the current iPhone Plus line. And then they've got an even new phone with a 6.5 inch screen. And this is the bezel-less, pretty much bezel-less screen. It has no fingerprint scanner, and that's it. Brand new phones, new chips. It's still got the notch at the top, which a lot of people hate.
what do you mean, the place where the cameras are?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that notch. And Samsung's got a phone out where they've gotten they've I don't remember what the type of screen is called, but it's like a screen overlay over the top of that, and it gives it the illusion as if the notch isn't there. Somehow I don't know how it does it, but Samsung's got a phone where it's that notch thing isn't really a problem. And yeah, it's got its new A12 chip and better GPU and a whole bunch of other stuff. So they start at $1,000 and $1,099, which is I'm pretty sure average with their new releases. I think that's right on the money.
They were actually saying, some articles were saying that Apple is raising the prices on these things because they know that their customers will pay it, and people are calling it Apple tax, Apple luxury tax.
Yeah, but I
That
mean they've been
Apple
doing
is, yeah,
but they've been doing this for.
But it's a big jump this time.
I don't think it is. Let me verify.
That's what.
I mean,
Yeah, but Samsung costs the same.
yeah, let's see. So the iPhone 8 no, let's see. No, there is a price hike. The iPhone 8 Plus, which is equivalent to the iPhone XS, used to be $800. It's now $1,000.
There was one article that said that if you add a case and the dongle for the 3.5, you can come up to about $1,400 and some dollars.
Well, I don't know what kind of freaking case you're buying. Those dongles come free, which is good.
Well, if you buy them in the Apple Store, then
yeah. If you buy it at the Apple Store.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's about $150 to $100. It's $100 more than the iPhone 8 Plus. which is I think is the most. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry. The iPhone X is out.
And what
No,
they
it's the same price. The iPhone X is, which is the same size as the XS, was $1,000 on launch, which is what the cost of this one is.
Yeah, and there was an uproar about that as well.
they
But
they're
when you look at the competitors, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, Samsung's
When
flagships
you
are just.
yeah,
they were
yeah.
saying that in about 3 weeks they're going to release their less expensive phones. They wanted to put the expensive ones up front, let people buy them, and then they're going to introduce their less expensive. So they got a few models that are less expensive, like in the $700 and $800.
Yeah,
It's,
that's
I mean, look,
that's ridiculous. I agree. The XR, right? I think it's on their site already. Oh, it's coming. Yeah.
I will continue to say I don't believe the phone prices are that outrageous.
and
I'll
Well,
stand by it. Think about how many hours a day you use your smartphone and what you do with it, and tell me that price is ridiculous. There's just no. I don't see how anybody can. If you use your phone, if you buy a flagship smartphone and use it as a flagship smartphone, I don't see how you could make the argument that the phone is too expensive. I don't agree. I don't enjoy paying it,
no,
but
I say don't use the flagship phones. I mean, the um, the flagship phones are amazing technology-wise, right? There is no reason in hell that they'll be as popular as they are. I mean, the phones that should be popular, that should be widespread, are those around 350, $400, especially when you're taking into account that you're going to use them for 2 to 3 years, right? And then you're going to replace them. It's a huge amount of money, and it doesn't make sense. This sits in teenagers' pockets, right? There's no reason for a teenager to walk around with a $1,000 piece of technology that they're going to break every other month.
that's another story. I think of myself though, the amount of time I use my phone for work when I'm out of the office. I've probably on my phone 5 hours a day outside of the office doing work related things.
Sure, but you can still do that same work-related things on a piece of hardware that is less expensive.
I don't disagree, but I don't think if you break down the price over the 2 or 3 years that you own the device, I just don't see it. I don't I don't think it's that expensive.
But to be fair, Nick, the you and quite a few other people I know use it as a work tool,
Yeah.
and with with what it provides to you, I would agree with you. It needs to be a robust, quality piece of equipment. But you're the exception rather than the rule. The average consumer is not using it for business purposes. Now, I would argue that these teenage girls are burning these things up on text messaging, and they've got to be robust to hold up on all that. I get that, but I'm just telling you that the law of supply and demand always works. And it seems to me, and I'm old, but it seems to me that something's out of whack, that you just can't have $1,400 iPhones out there for the average consumer. But then again, I never thought I'd see cars as expensive as they are. So what do I know?
I mean, Mike, I know you pretty well. You're on your phone a lot throughout the day. You're getting phone calls and you're doing things on your phone all day. No,
Yeah, but it's mostly you and Johnny.
but I mean, realistically, you spend a lot of time on. For example, I would if Amnon would say, Nick, I'm going to go buy the new what iPhone, whatever. I'd say, Amnon, you're an idiot. You have no reason to buy this $1,000 phone for it to sit on your desk and charge all day.
right.
If you were to tell me, Mike, you were going to buy it, I'd say, okay. You use your phone a lot. You use your phone all day.
I can get by with a flip phone.
I don't disagree that you can't, but it makes sense. It makes somewhat sense for you versus somebody like Amnon who doesn't use a smartphone.
Oh, I agree with that, but yeah, there are other aspects of this too. But I'm just saying that at some point they have to price themselves out of the market.
And they will. You're absolutely. And I think they will.
I mean, they're setting themselves up because what part of what they seem to be doing is trying to wrestle the equipment cost away from the cell phone companies. They're trying to get them to lower their rates so that their monthly payment with the equipment, your phone bill hasn't changed that much, but they've shifted the payment to the hardware people instead of to the provider. And I think it's going
Huh.
that way. It seems that you've got unlimited bandwidth, unlimited and all that, some things coming back. And when you look at what Verizon and others are charging for an additional gigabyte of data, if you go over $10 or $15 or something like that, to me, it's just pure criminal.
Yep. And now Spectrum has Spectrum Mobile.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let me sign up for that.
Yeah. There's another thing with Apple here that is a screw up is AirPower. The article says a year after unveiling the AirPower all-in-one wireless charger for the iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods, Apple has now erased all references to AirPower from its website. The company has yet to ship it. It says a year ago during the iPhone X unveiling, Apple announced AirPower, all-in-one wireless charger. This product never shipped. And today, it seems that Apple has scrubbed almost all traces of it on the website. The articles, the author says, at the time of this writing, this is the only reference to AirPower I can find on Apple website. So what happened to AirPower? I mean, there was another article that I read yesterday. It says that it actually was getting hot and screws itself up. But the point is they never sold any of them. Nick, you're using a wireless one, right?
Yeah,
But it's
some
not an Apple one.
No, it's like $15 on Amazon.
Yeah. So it's the author is writing, all this suggests that some things are beyond the reach of even a company as powerful as Apple. Something screws up, there's nothing you can do. And it's very, very interesting because wireless is where everybody wants to be with the charging.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
It's convenient, but it's not there yet. Not really. It's slow. I mean, I'd take a wired charger that charges in less than 30 minutes, 2 days worth of battery over a wireless one.
No. I guess it's just the idea that you can do it wirelessly is it's neat.
Yeah,
No, it's
I use
convenient.
I use mine I have a wireless charger at my bedstand, and that's how I charge my phone overnight. Plus, with the new iPhones, wireless charging is nice because you can then use the Lightning port for audio.
Right. Yeah.
So the last thing about Apple this week is that Apple released iOS 12.
Yep.
The latest operating system designed for the iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch. It's available on all devices that are able to run iOS 11, which includes the iPhone's 5S and later, the iPad Mini 2 and later, the iPad Air and later, and the 6th generation of iPod Touch. They had a problem with it, so they pulled it out. I guess they fixed it and put it out again. By next week, we'll know what other problems they have with it and what they're going to do about it. But Nick, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to do with infection now that China is not is blocking Twitch?
Oh, no, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's crazy how
It is.
It's actually I enjoy seeing this go down because it proves it doesn't prove, but it shows that people, especially young people, millennials in the United States, have got no concept on how the rest of the world works.
Oh,
That
so you mean that
communist government of China just decides they're going to block a website. I mean, that doesn't happen in the U.S. I mean, you can make the argument with some of the Alex Jones stuff, but I mean,
yeah, well, look at Twitter, look at Look at the
Yeah, but you're not
No, but it's
Look
not the
at-
you're not
government. I
thrown
mean,
in jail if you got caught using the
not
website.
yet. Not yet. It's coming.
well, let's hope that it doesn't come to that. But this is kind of ridiculous. I mean, this is
Yeah,
a
but
gaming. This is gaming.
But I enjoy. Well, yeah, but I mean, Amnon, I enjoy seeing this. This is exactly
Okay,
the kind of stuff we talk about.
Yeah, you're talking about a different effect on young people that it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a website gaming that's being blocked. It's the idea behind it that China can do such thing to things like that. That you hope that younger people will understand and will wake up and see. Oh, so that's how they do it the rest of the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Everything's
mean,
not peaches and cream everywhere like it is in the United States.
I wonder if they gave any reasoning.
They didn't, and to be honest, Twitch wasn't that popular in China. So Twitch is popular in the US. There's a site over there called panda.tv. That's a big streaming site. And then YY.com is those are the two. And then QQ. Those are the three big streaming sites in China.
Oh, okay. So maybe they're trying to give them the edge.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're either partially owned or completely owned by the government over there. So
Interesting.
I miss QT. QT was a great site. Q Talk.
I mean, I added this channel 7, the FC2, and I don't know if that's. Seems like I remember seeing something in Chinese on it, or maybe Japanese. I don't remember. Oh, anyway. Now, here is something for those of you that use touch screens, computers. A file named waitlist.dat, waitlist.dat, found only on touchscreen capable Windows PC, may be collecting your sensitive data like passwords and emails. And this is from ZDNet. It says, in order for the file to exist, users have to enable the handwriting recognition feature that automatically translates stylus touchscreen scribbles into formatted text. It's not that it's malware. It's not a malicious thing, but I guess in order to understand what you scribble something on the tablet and it has to translate it, it keeps stuff in a file to compare it to. But there is a file there that includes everything there. Of course, this came out just from researchers. It's not. I haven't heard anything about people actually getting hit with that, but just
Somebody has the
keep
stream playing.
the what?
Somebody has the stream playing.
Yeah, I can hear something right in the background, like another broadcast or something.
I don't know. I don't. I don't hear it.
It's gone now.
Um. So be aware of that. But remember, this will only happen if you if you have a tablet or like a Surface, whatever, something that you actually use to scribble on the screen, and you enable it. Enable the handwriting recognition feature. Then this happens. Just be aware. You've been warned. Let's see what else. Did you hear that about Amazon putting that apparently there's a lot of drivers that steal packages. And the way that they steal packages is when they scan to give it to you, if it comes up as unrecognized, in other words, that barcode is not in the Amazon system, even though it has your address, remember, they scan it before they come to the door. If it's not in the system, they're supposed to call somebody and find out what it is, or put it back in the truck and take it back and let it get straightened out. But they can just keep it and nobody would ever know because it's not in the system. And apparently, a lot of people complained they didn't get their packages. So, what Amazon is doing now, which is pretty interesting, they put dummy packages, something that has nothing in it. It's a fake label, and they know which trucks they put it on. And this is when it's their own drivers are doing the delivery, not when the UPS or. And if they know that it's on the truck and it doesn't come back in the evening, then that driver is guilty, because the driver is not supposed to deliver a package if they don't scan it and say, okay, it was scanned and it was delivered. Yesterday, I had an interesting situation outside on the driveway. I was just getting ready to mow the lawn, and Pinsk truck pulled up. Apparently, they're running out of trucks, and he saw me on the driveway, so he stopped before he got actually to the driveway, and I went to him because he tried to help him. They're in a rush and all that, and he's scanning and it's not working, and he's scanning and it's not working, and he says, "I don't know what's wrong." And he brings it up and he says, "Well, it may be that they want me to get closer to the driveway." I said, "Well, come on, walk on the driveway." So as he walked on the driveway, the thing, it had like a GPS thing that popped up and said, "Okay, yeah, now I can do it." Da-da-da, and it worked. So he was right at the edge of the driveway and it wouldn't work. And when he came into the driveway, everything was fine. So they're trying to do all kind of things to make sure that your package is delivered to you.
Well, they should. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember
oh, absolutely.
This used to happen all the time, where you'd have
Yep.
a driver that would mark all of their packages delivered at the end of the
Right.
day.
Yep.
So, a package gets delivered at 2:00, and you don't see it or whatever, and then at 8:00, it's, package is delivered. Nobody's been here, and it's been sitting under, a rock, or sitting under
Yeah.
a rocking chair for 3 hours, or sitting in the mailbox after you'd already grabbed the mail.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad they're doing that.
I mean, it happened a few times when they said that it was delivered, and I called right away and I said, "No, it has not been delivered. It's not here." And then they found out that it was delivered a couple of streets over.
Oh, well,
And I'm
yeah,
saying, come on. I mean, it's the right address and everything. I can understand the driver not reading the address. But I mean, here in this case, it wouldn't have worked. Because if you were a couple of streets over, it will not allow you to scan it. So it's
Yeah,
interesting. They're getting better.
but it'll still happen with USPS or UPS because
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
different system.
Yeah,
So
apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
that's probably why they want to create their own infrastructure of delivery
yeah.
agents. They're building this. They're building this huge, like helping people open franchised deliveries.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Mike, last week you were talking about the fact that it said Prime, and it's going to be a week later on Monday, right? Is Mike here? No.
No.
I noticed I ordered something yesterday. No, I ordered something last week, and it said that it will be here today, and I noticed that it doesn't say will be delivered tomorrow by 8. Now it says by 9 PM. Uh, that is interesting. It's like they're stretching it and stretching it. I don't know when is the
Well,
last
I
time.
just ordered a package on Friday,
Yeah?
and it's in Durham, but it says it won't be delivered till October 1st, and it's because of the hurricane stuff. If I had to, that was their rationale. 'Cause there's a lot of the postal service hasn't delivered mail here since last week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think I think today's their first delivery day, Sunday.
So your mailbox is gonna be really full.
I don't know. I just cleaned out all the garbage that was in it yesterday, so we'll see.
Well, I know that Marshall emailed me a check, and he asked if I got it, and he emailed it before the store. He emailed it.
He
On-
emailed you a check?
Yeah, I'm sorry, mailed. It was on Tuesday before the storm, and I still didn't get it. And he called the post office and all that, and they said that the mail is going through, that Wilson's mail goes through Fayetteville, and Fayetteville was hit pretty hard too. So it's possible. And he said, I can reissue. I said, no, just wait. I mean, let's give it a couple more days and see. We'll see. It is a problem when you have a storm like that, and mail gets stuck somewhere, and there's no way of telling. And if a truck didn't get completely immersed, flooded with water, and all the mail is gone, I mean, I don't think they will tell you that happened. So
I'll be
go
curious to
ahead.
see when my package comes.
Well,
Because it's already in Durham, so the question
yeah,
is
it
when
should.
will it actually show up?
Yeah, it will. Sometimes it says that it's another week, and it shows up a day later.
So I'm hoping.
So, a few weeks ago, I was talking about the fact that I canceled my LinkedIn account, right?
Yep.
And I still get emails. This is over a month. I still get email. Oh, you've been looked up so many times, and such one want you to add them to the. I'm saying, look, I don't have an account yet, because when I try to go there, I don't have an account. Well, I saw an article yesterday that kind of puts into words what I did, and says, the author is writing, I hate LinkedIn. I opened it out of habit. I open it out of habit and accept everyone who adds me, because I don't know why I wouldn't. There's no clear benefit to the social network. I've never met a recruiter on there. I've never gotten a job. The only messages I get are spam from offshore development teams and crypto announcement. It's like Facebook without the benefit of maybe seeing a picture of someone's award-winning child or dog. I understand that I'm using LinkedIn wrong. I understand I should cultivate a salon-like list of contacts that I can use to source stories and meet interesting people. But I have my own story sourcing tools and my own contacts. It's not even good as a broadcast medium. LinkedIn is a spam garden full of misspelled, grunty requests from international software houses that are looking primarily to sell you services. Because it's LinkedIn, it's super easy to slip past any and all defenses against this spam. He says, I know people have used LinkedIn to find jobs. I never have. I know people use LinkedIn to sell products. It never worked for me. I never got anything out of LinkedIn.
You've never been looking for a job.
I know, but is it just for jobs? Is that what it is?
I mean,
I don't know.
That's a big part of it, absolutely.
But it's some kind of a social network also. I mean, I
For
would like
recruiters.
what?
For recruiters.
Well, I
It's
would like to think that somebody from my network, and there were like 400 and some people in my network, and these are people that I know. I hope somebody got something out of meeting other people on my network. I don't know. I have no idea. And that's why I decided to forget it. And besides the fact that it was the thing with Alex Jones, and that's why I said, yeah, I don't need them. It's I'm still getting all this spam. They said it'll take about a week. I said, okay, but come on, it's over a month now, and I am not about to log in, ask for a password again, just so I can find out why am I still getting. I am that close of blocking LinkedIn on my network. I mean, I can't do it, but I'd like to. So yeah. So Gal, are you using LinkedIn?
I mean, I use it out of habit. It's just something I check in because there are
Okay, no, never mind.
ex-coworkers.
Did you ever get something out of it? Did you ever felt like, oh, I accomplished something?
Um,
Okay, that's a good answer right
no,
there.
no,
Yeah.
definitely
How about
not.
you? How about you, Nick?
have I ever what?
Did you ever use it and felt, oh, good, I'm glad I have it?
Yeah, I actually sold a website on it once.
Oh.
Somebody locally was looking for a WordPress website back in whenever the hell,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
Okay.
but it's not really a social network. It's not a social network like Facebook. I mean,
No.
that's what Microsoft owns LinkedIn now, right?
Right,
They
yeah,
bought it.
they do now. Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to turn it into a social network, just like they're trying to turn Skype into a social network, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just not what it's for.
It's a social network, the same, but Google Plus is a social network.
Bingo. Yep.
John says, I have made
It-
contact with all friends I have lost contact with. Well,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the co-workers in my past or even in the present, they're not connected into my social network on Facebook, for example, because I use Facebook for personal communication.
mm-hmm.
So it's just another bubble. It's a less important bubble for me. I'm guessing that a recruiter uh, or marketing, they're probably more on LinkedIn than any other social media, right? Because that's where they converse. They have their. So it's all about the focus of the network. I mean, that's what social media discovered after it started being a thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just an evolution of the old school forums, right? So
Yeah, it's for people my age, people just getting out of college. It's a must have. You have to have a LinkedIn, and most if you apply for jobs on Indeed or it was Monster, whatever the job sites are,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them have you link your, like, if you go to them right now and look for a job, it'll say link your LinkedIn, and then it'll try to better um push you towards something or away from something, or I think it can auto generate a resume. I'm not really sure how it works, but
Well,
if you're actively searching for a job, I don't know why you wouldn't have a LinkedIn.
okay. So there must be, somewhere there must be a good reason for it. And I can,
If I was searching for a job in Raleigh in TV production or TV broadcasting, I would go to LinkedIn
Mhm.
and I would search for I'd look up WRAL. I'd find a program director or a technical whatever, connect with them, wait for them to accept my connection, then connect with other people that they're connected with that also work in TV or whatever industry in Raleigh. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Okay.
But if you're not searching for a job, I mean, it's not like Gal said. You may have coworkers that add you. I get people that I went to high school with adding me because clearly a college class has told them to make a LinkedIn account to get before they get out and get a job. But that's about it.
So, unlike Facebook, it's not a time sucker. It's not a place where you spend your time, but it is a place where you cultivate the network, which you dip in every once in a while. So, in a way, I can't say I've ever received any spam from LinkedIn. By the way,
Oh, I get a lot of spam.
never. For me, never. And I've used it since it practically exists. But I don't accept. I accept only people I know or I have some sort of connection. We've met at least once, but that's it. I don't allow recruiters in. I don't, and other than direct messages, nothing comes to email. Right? It's a social network that I visit when I want to. That's it.
Okay. All right. There's a Windows update coming up, right? Pay attention. If you have a tablet or older laptop with just a tiny bit of storage available, Microsoft upcoming Windows 10 October 2018 update may cause you some headaches unless you tidy up. In a support document, Microsoft acknowledges that Windows 10's Windows Update fails to check PCs for adequate storage before it kicks off, an oversight that may cause the upcoming feature update to repeatedly fail unless the PC has enough space to download and install it. So, I mean, this is not just a small or old PC, anything that doesn't have enough. Now, they said that Microsoft never said how much is required. My question is, that update is not out there yet.
Yeah, that's what
Why
I was
can't they
about.
fix it? I mean,
Yeah, pull it
Well,
out,
Mhm.
fix it. Yeah. Sounds like a good idea.
they're saying that it's an oversight. Well, I don't know, but anyway, if you do have a problem on a tablet or anything like that, remember this is you have to have enough room, and they say go ahead and delete stuff and clean up the drive.
Well,
But
on
again,
oversight, it's already happened, not for something that's coming up in the future.
what?
So you've got nearly a month. Fix it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why they want people to go. I mean, it's fine. Go and clean junk from your computer, but that should not be a reason that the operating system is going to screw up.
No.
Check. If there is not enough, just say, Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. But that's what
Hey,
they
but Amnon,
Yeah.
this is very important. You finally found a way of stopping Windows Update. Just fill up your hard drive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We
Finally.
beat the system. Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, knock on wood, I never had a problem with the Windows 10, and it's doing it automatically.
Yeah, I agree.
And so far, so good. I know Nick had a bunch of problems. It knocked off his video. It messed up other stuff. So
Well, he never had a problem with Windows 10. Let's be It's only with its drivers that are not written properly for Windows 10.
Yeah, and I think that fixed itself. I think I did a Windows update at one point. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's
Whenever I have an issue, I just roll back. Not the end of the world.
I
this
was
is
talking to Jorvik last night, and he did a Windows update. He hadn't used his desktop for, I don't know, 2-3 months, something like that. So when he switched it on, there was loads of updates to do. And
And?
he was saying that he just had a black screen with a blinking cursor, and it was there for like 10, 15 minutes. Hard drive light was constantly on. In the end, he turned it off and then couldn't get into safe mode. So thanks, Microsoft.
interesting.
Well, it is
Later.
fault, right?
Well, yeah, and it is his fault because I said to him, "Do you have Windows bootable media?" And he said, "No." Oh dear. You can do updates without bootable media.
Well, here's something else that I don't know how many people know, and I can understand a little bit. When you buy a movie on iTunes, it's yours forever until such a time as when Apple maybe loses the rights to distribute it, and then it will disappear from your library without a trace.
What?
This is what happened to Anders Silva, who goes by Drenders on Twitter, and who tweeted about losing 3 movies bought on iTunes on the iTunes store. I mean, I don't know. I understand if they cannot distribute it anymore, they can't sell it. But and what
Yeah,
can
but
you do? I mean, if you buy a movie, can you download it? I mean, can
well,
you
I mean, there's probably an offline way of watching it, but as far as I know, I've never used iTunes for that. But as far as I know, when it comes to DRM content, and this is the case, right? It's a DRM it's a DRM piece of content. Even if it's downloaded locally, it's encrypted, right?
Yeah.
And in order to open it, it's timed. So after, I don't know, a week or a month, you'll need to refresh the encryption in order to view it again. That's what Netflix does with its cached downloading, which is different because they're a streaming service, not you don't buy content there.
Okay.
But if you haven't connected back to the server in a while, the offline stuff won't work. So if this is the case with the iTunes store as well, it doesn't matter if you downloaded it, you lost access to it.
Okay.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't know if this is the same story, but I read one that was very similar to what you said. That the guy bought 3 movies when he was in Australia and then moved to Canada. Whether it's the same story or not, I don't know. But they basically said, no, we don't have a license for you, so you can't. Those movies aren't yours anymore because of the geo restrictions. Don't know if it's the same one or not, but that's one I read this week, and I thought that's ridiculous. If you buy it, and he was complaining and saying, well, it said on the site buy. It didn't say rent. It
Right.
said buy. You're buying this movie, and that's wrong. If it says buy, it should be yours wherever you happen to move in the world. But according to licensing, no, it's not.
I don't know. It just seems funny that you can go and buy it, pay for it.
Oh, it's not funny. It's criminal. It's the whole concept of rights ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
While it is there to protect the content creator,
Right.
it is governed not by the content creator. It is governed by a set of rules and systems that have nothing to do with the content creator or the consumer. right? Just about the rights holder. And when you're talking about that, the laws, they're not common sense. So we are always complaining because we are all expecting common sense. We're not going to get there when we're talking about usage rights. I'm sorry,
Well,
I have a full belly about
It
when
well,
it comes to that.
should be no different than buying a DVD from a legitimate source, that is all up front, and you move in country and you put it in your DVD player and it plays. It should be no different whether it's online or whether it's a physical media.
mhm.
We agree that there shouldn't be any difference, but when it comes to implementing the technology, there is no agreement, right? And that's why it's back to the old discussion. That's why the piracy scene thrives every time, because it always provides a solution that the legitimate system cannot. It's just tied down.
It makes people. I mean, I would be pissed if I paid for it.
Oh, I'd be
I mean,
livid.
and when you pay for it, apparently Apple paid some fees to the content creator.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Well, give me my money back. That's fine. If you lost it, give me my money back. I understand.
Oh, you're talking about this is why piracy thrives. There was a college football game last night. The Oklahoma OU Sooners versus Army.
Okay.
It was only available on pay-per-view, and the pay-per-view was $75
Sheesh.
For a
And it-
single game.
for a single game.
Yeah, well, that's sports sponsorship. I don't get that. Sorry, I'm not a sports fan. So
But that is very. I mean,
That's
that was popular. Stuff like that happened in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. But I mean, in 2018, charging $70 for a pay-per-view of a college football game.
let me ask you this: how many paid?
I don't know how many paid. I watched it on Facebook. Some guy pointing a camera at his TV.
I'll bet you at least the parents of the players paid.
Well, they were at the game.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was interesting last night because it was exactly the first thing that came to mind was this is why people go online and try to find illegal streams.
Of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could have gone to the game for cheaper than that. You could have gone to the game, had a beer, and had something to eat, probably for less than $75.
No,
That's what
going to the game would cost you hundreds of dollars.
College football game.
Yeah, college football games. Yeah. Look at the games here for Duke and Tar Heels.
Yeah, that's true. Those.
Yeah, they're expensive on purpose, right? It's like not because it's always raising money for the college, blah blah. but yeah, it's so annoying.
All right, and if you buy stuff on Newegg, or if you bought stuff on Newegg, listen to this. Hacker injected 15 lines of card skimming code on the online retailer's payment page, which remained for more than a month between August 14th and September 18th. The code siphoned off credit card data from unsuspecting customers to a server controlled by the hackers with a similar domain name. So they had something close to it. Likely to avoid detection. They even used an HTTPS certificate to blend in, which today it's not a big deal. The code also worked for both desktop and mobile customers, though it's unclear if mobile customers are affected. So if you bought something on Newegg between August 14th and September 18th, watch your credit card for charges that you did not authorize. Newegg.
Good
It's
stuff.
amazing. Yeah, good stuff. Great stuff.
Does that make Newegg liable in any way?
Oh, they've got to be liable.
I'm asking, like, when it comes to, well, first of all, the credit card customer is covered, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
idea of credit cards, right?
Well,
So
covered to I think $50.
No, you're
I think
credit or debit. You're
not debit. No, only
debit.
only
Yeah,
credit.
no
debit.
debit is debit. You have the same protection.
Yeah. No,
That's a falsehood that people talk about. Credit and debit are both secured up to a certain amount.
up to or starting. I mean, that's where the $50 come. I remember.
Oh, are you saying it starts at $50?
Yeah, $50.
not-
You are liable for the first 50.
Oh, okay, that may be the case. I'm not sure what I know that they cover you up to a couple $1,000s though.
But I mean, that's not the only thing. But this leads to other things. So if you did get compromised, handle it. Just something that you need to be aware of. That's all.
Mike, are you here?
Mike?
I am.
Am I
No.
incorrect in saying that you have the same debit card protection that you do on a credit card?
It depends on who you ask.
Oh,
Well, if you ask the issuer of the card, that's the most important question.
It depends on who you ask. For the most part, Clark Howard has said, no, they're not the same protections, and other people have said that's nonsense. They are. I've had my daughter's debit card was compromised. The bank put the money back in immediately.
So what you're saying is, depending on the bank you're working with, how they decide. But if it's not, then it means that then the protection isn't always there.
Well, who knows? I mean, there are cases where a credit card can be denied. It's not automatic. I mean, see,
Of course not.
here. Pardon, what?
No, of course not automatic. Nothing is automatic when it
So
comes to money.
there's even a concern that was building at one point. I don't know if it's going away or whether it's gotten worse or what. I don't know, but there was a move at one point by the banks that if you gave your login information, your username and password to your bank account to a website like mint.com, then if your account is hacked, it's not covered because you have now breached that confidential relationship between you and the bank.
Okay.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? What John is saying that not all debit cards protect well.
They may not all be instant, but I mean, if you have a legitimate case of fraud, I don't see why a bank would not work with you to get that sorted out.
Oh. Let's see what else we have here. It this changed last week, but Microsoft was telling you if they saw that you're trying to download Chrome or Firefox, they would say no, Edge is better, Edge is this, and they were trying to stop you from doing it. And people complained, and they took that feature out, so it will not. It was an Edge feature, so to speak.
They still do that crap.
They
Every
do it
time-
when you want to set up as the default, right?
When you set as default, yeah. Oh, this will save your battery life. It's on desktop. There's no battery.
You don't use Firefox or Chrome. Edge is far better. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Every time I do a Windows install,
It's far better to Microsoft. For
Talk-
Microsoft.
Talking about
It is actually, all joking aside, because there's no plugins or anything on it, it is actually pretty quick. But
No, there are plugins. You can put an ad
you
blocker.
can now. But by
Yeah.
default, by default, it's a pretty basic web browser.
Yeah, it works. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
saying
it works.
I will always be an advocate of use a third party tool that you trust than anything baked in.
For sure.
That's true for the phones. That's true for everything.
It's
I've got something here.
okay.
I saw an article. Let's see, where do I find it? It's on The Verge. And it says in the 2018 music industry revenue report, streaming music now accounts for 75%
Mhm.
of the music industry's revenue.
Mhm.
So not the amount of people streaming, but the revenue is coming from streaming. And
Right.
that's the craziest thing about that is um the artists or the music industry is only making fractions of pennies per stream of songs. So if streaming is 75% of the revenue, that means that the just sheer amount of people streaming music is pretty amazing if it's taken over almost all of their revenue.
Right.
I thought that was pretty interesting because we've seen before. Who's it that who went after Apple? Or pulled their music off Apple because they weren't getting any. They didn't feel they were getting enough profit profit share, whatever it was. But if it's 75% of the industry's revenue, then there's services like Spotify are making a fortune
Mhm.
because
They
they're
are.
easy. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. They are making
Well,
money. I mean, but they always complain.
I wonder.
The
I
only
wonder
one
if
not.
they're making more money than when they used to sell the records. The question comes when you sold the record, you never got paid for repeat plays, right? But when streaming works, or at least how I understand streaming works, every play you receive a fraction of a penny, but
Right.
it adds up, right? So
yeah,
I wonder where that stands, because that would prove that this was the right move.
Mike, do you have any insight on this? Kind of being in and around that industry for a period of time.
I've not paid much attention lately. They've gotten $0 out of me in about the last 10 years. I
What
think
about
maybe 2 CDs, and I paid 0 streaming through
what about
subscriptions. I mean, I imagine that some of the things that I pay, some of the money ends up going to some of the streaming services, but not intentionally on my part.
what about previously though? With like Scott was saying with record sales, do you have any insight on that?
As to how it's panning out now, I have no idea. I will tell you that the money in the music business is an abortion from the word go. The When you sell a record, for example, in the old days, the artist would get a percentage, pennies from each album sold. And I mean, I think one of the highest ever recorded was $1 per album going to Frank Sinatra or somebody. I don't recall who it was, but the money that went to the artist was, as Gall said, one time and minimal. And the money that the writer gets is ongoing. That is, they get performing rights through radio stations at that time. Every time they would play, a certain amount of money would go to BMI, CSAC, or ASCAP based on the reported playings. That money was divided up at the end of the year among the writers of those songs. It was a very much an imperfect system, but I mean, it'd be a whole show to go into the nuances of it. But now,
Mm.
what happened was, this is whenever Sound Exchange got in their panties in a wad, because all of the streaming that was going on, nobody was getting paid. The artists weren't getting paid, of course, and the writers were not getting paid because everybody was streaming for free. Then they put in all these royalties and things. And as I recall, and I've intentionally not kept up with it, but I've heard some of it. But as I recall, under Sound Exchange, finally the artists do get that are playing the music do get paid. Part of it is because they can now track what's getting played. They have to have logs and things. They can identify the artist, whereas in the old days it was harder to do based on radio station playing certain things. Whereas, how are things now versus what they were 20 years ago? I have no idea. I mean, there's this little subset of people out there who always get the money, and everybody else gets little morsels.
Well, if they didn't make enough money, they wouldn't be in business. The artists will not go to them and any of that stuff. So
I used to represent some artists, but there are a couple of things about them I really don't like. Number one, none of them has any money. Even the ones that you think are famous and rich and all that are not.
yeah.
But the other thing was back in the late 90s, I was representing an artist. She came in, or I wasn't representing, she consulted with me on a contract that a record company had sent her in a management contract. And I read through it. And out of I don't know, maybe 5 pages, 4 pages of it were stuff that I would never agree to because they would own her heart and soul, lock, stock, and barrel, everything she did, including her firstborn, whether born yet or not. And I advised her against signing it, but she did anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
this article. So what you said about those who don't seem to have money, the top 1% of artists earned 77% of record music income. So it's not shared, definitely.
No, but I think that number may be a little flawed because now with streaming, anybody can put their song on what is that? Rebel Nation or Rebel Camp or whatever, and your song is and your song gets pushed on all those streaming services and whatnot.
Yeah, but you pay Rebel whatnot a fee,
Yep.
right? And uh, you end up getting fractions. But even if it's pushed, you have no guarantee that people will come and listen,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? And that's the main problem. That's why only 1% controls 77%. So if this is of recorded music income. So the real question is what percent is captivating 80% of the listeners in streaming media, right?
okay.
And if it's the same, then yeah. There's this one guy. This is actually a bit of fun. So I'll find out his name in a moment. So what he does, he records tens of songs a week and pushes them to Spotify. They're crappy songs. They're like they're ridiculous. They're full of humor. Some of them are fantastic. He doesn't have any soothing voice or anything. He writes on request as well. But the so he beat the system by sheer volume. He has currently like over 10,000 songs in streaming services, and this is his day job. This has become his life. He loves it. He creates all the time. Matt Farley, I think, is his name. And so, yeah, Modern Media is the production house that he named. And if you go to his site, I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, so he already released 19,000 songs. And he does it in batches of albums. He has a bunch of guys, friends that they play in the garage, and they release those songs. There's a greatest hits list there. You can check him out. This guy's amazing. And some they have the poop album, for example, whereas they're singing about shit all the time. It's like it's ridiculous, but it's also some of it is very very witty, and because of this production by volume, right?
Yeah.
He has got to a point where the revenue stream is sustainable, right? And he's hardly what you would call a typical musician, right? But it's an interesting twist on modern technology, our web based world, and the music industry. So yeah, definitely worth a check. I recommend.
Yeah, I figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
Very,
So
very interesting.
yeah, so we should take cue from people like him.
And what? And write songs?
I mean, if you want to express yourself, right? Don't beat yourself about expressing only the perfect, nuanced, very polished way, or at least at the beginning, right? If you
Yeah.
want to express yourself in a certain way and you also want to make some money out of it, do it in volume.
That's one way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the joke about the guy that was buying parts for $1 and selling them for 50 cents. And he was selling a lot of them. And so the manufacturer came and said, "Hey, what are you doing? How are you making money?" He said, "By volume."
Yeah, he.
Uh,
I think he missed that class.
Here's something interesting we can discuss. The White House has drafted an executive order for President Donald Trump's signature that would instruct federal antitrust and law enforcement agencies to open investigations into the business practice of Alphabet, Inc.'s, Google,
That's Google. Yeah.
Facebook, and other social media companies. I mean, and I think Brian was talking about this yesterday. I don't understand. I don't know how many of you remember the Microsoft. I mean, I know Mike does, and Steve, when they were on the investigation for what was it? It was something to do with Explorer, Internet Explorer, because they pushed it on people, and it is
Antitrust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
antitrust.
Internet Explorer
A
and
lot,
media player.
a lot less than what these guys are doing, and these guys are actually affecting our own lives, and they have not been under such investigation yet. That is amazing. The article I think that Brian was talking about is something about breaking up. Is it time to break them up?
Break up who?
Alphabet and Facebook and Twitter, but break them up for what? I mean, yeah, Alphabet you can break up, but they already broke
Exactly.
themselves up.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you going to do with Facebook? What does Facebook? Facebook doesn't have different things that you can break them up. I mean, it's a social media thing. I'm sure there's
Well,
something you can do, but would it help? Anything?
I think by breaking up Facebook, if that ever happens,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first let's understand uh, their core business, and their core business is hoarding data, metadata, right?
Right.
And everything else are services that are provided to their consumers, but the consumers are also the data inputters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we take it to parallel a 70s organization, right? We're just a bunch of data inputters, right, that are providing Facebook with content that they can sell.
Yeah.
So if they ever end up breaking up Facebook, it'll break up for a service that does something with the data, right, and a service that just provides you with an interface or whatever. And by breaking them, we're basically going to allow the data to flow from one system to another
To another.
system.
Mm-hmm.
And then why wouldn't we add competition? And suddenly we have thousands of organizations that are going to hoard data.
That's
The
a good
same
point.
data. right? So breaking them up is probably wrong. Monitoring what they're doing, forcing them to be as transparent as possible about what they're doing with the data, that's something else. That's but breaking up Facebook would probably be a bad idea, unless somebody
Okay.
comes up with a really ingenious way of doing it and not risking the data to be out there completely without any recourse or control.
Mike,
Yes, and
you have an opinion?
well, my opinion is in the formulation stage right now. To begin with, this thing about the data is going to be out there, and Google selling all the data they got their hands on anyway. They certainly are not a trustworthy service, and they've added to their data collection, distribution, and mining services the ability to control what can be distributed to people when they started interjecting their political agenda. So, unfortunately, they are violating the public trust by being open and honest with their data collection, and in fact, that's a problem. So, it would be if there's not some redress to their misbehavior, then unfortunately government involvement is the last step. I'm not necessarily in favor of government involvement. I do agree with what Ronald Reagan said. Government is not here to protect me from me, it's here to protect me from you. Whenever you have a Google, a YouTube, a Facebook that are getting in, a Twitter that are getting involved in controlling dialogue and violating the tenets of free speech. They're not government entities. They're not under the same laws as the government with regard to First Amendment and free speech. But there is an argument that has really gotten a lot of traction, and that is that every internet service is using government resources at some way, shape, or form. As I understand it, and you guys, Gall and Amnon, would know better than I, but all internet traffic goes through May East, May West. They go through these data centers that are owned by the government. So they didn't make it. The government does have control over the internet in that regard, just as they have control over the airwaves in that they belong to quote unquote the public. So they're certainly susceptible to government involvement, and if they keep misbehaving, it's going to come down on them. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
Well, just to clear up here, you're saying government involvement in everything that goes over the internet. They definitely provide the pipes. They definitely provide the conduits where the data goes. But we are in a stage where more and more and more communication is encrypted and hidden from sight to the government, and that is unlike the airwaves.
Not necessarily. You've got airwaves like the law enforcement airwaves where the data is encrypted.
Right.
And if the government decides they don't want your data encrypted, they'll tell you not to encrypt it or they'll ban you from using the resource. That's a losing argument ab initio from day one. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. But I'm not even talking about encryption. Whenever you have right now gab.ai, which is now gab.com, that they cannot get their app into the Google Play Store or into the Apple Store because of censorship. When you have Facebook knowingly cooking the responses in their timelines to make Trump look bad and to make Hillary look good, when you have there's a story out that I just read in the last day or two where there's a discussion where the Google engineers were talking about how they could sway the search results to make Trump look bad. Now, when you've got people misbehaving like that, there needs to be some oversight. I hope that it would be self-imposed oversight and realizing that they are discriminating against probably at least half of their users, which from a business perspective is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Why would you piss off half of your customer base? But they're choosing to do it. I mean, look at what happens whenever you've got these wacko companies that go out and do these stupid things, and people like me just stop doing business with them. Why would you do that? Why not just remain apolitical, mind your own business, provide the best customer service you can, do a good job, be the best you can be, and enjoy the fruits of your labor? But no, they got to go out and stick their nose into so many other things. I mean, you would expect Hollywood to do this kind of stuff. One of these award shows, which was the one they just had, the Emmy Awards, that turned into an entire Trump hate fest, and the ratings were the lowest they've ever been. I mean, why doesn't this message ring with them? Why can't Google? Why can't Apple see? Well, I mean, I know why Apple can't. Tim Cook said he didn't want any conservatives doing business with Apple, and so that's fine. It's his option, and for the most part, I respect his wishes. I don't do business with them. The one exception being the iPhone. If somebody would come along with an infrastructure that's comparable to the Apple or better, I'd go with them gladly in a heartbeat. But unfortunately, they're the best you can get right now, in my opinion, at least in terms of my user habits and in terms of the crap that my wife has to go through with her Android phone. But having said that, I mean, just look at the things that Amnon and I have seen in our lifetimes. A lot of things are changing. There's no such thing as permanent success. I remember whenever Netscape was facing antitrust from the United States government because they had a monopoly on the internet. Net who? Things change. Apple's sales are down. I don't know how it is with this new release. The little Apple minions are probably out buying them up right and left. But for the most part, I mean, right now, in terms of, well, I saw the numbers 2 weeks ago. And Apple used to be number one. Now they're number three. Number one is Samsung. Number two is Huawei. Number three is Apple. Apple doesn't know how to function as number three. And whereas I can argue that they are losing market share based on probably price, I don't know that. I don't know why they're losing market share, but they are. Do you guys think that this new? Well, of course, we've gravitated into other things now, but I will never be an Apple fanboy because of their political stance. I mean, Tim Cook hates me, and so Tim, I hate you. Um, you really don't matter to me at all, but I'm sorry you hate me. I haven't done anything to you but send you money. But having said that, do you think, guy, what do you think that Apple is losing market share?
Their
Uh,
phones last longer, so people don't buy them. I don't know. I think people are waking up to them. I'd like to think that even the fanboys are beginning to say, "Look,
Nope. Don't
I,
ever say that.
yeah."
Don't ever say people are waking up. They're not. On politics, on Apple, and they're not.
I said I'd like to think.
Yeah, well, we'd all like to think that, but we'd also like to believe in the tooth fairy.
I believe in the tooth fairy. What the hell's your
I know you
problem?
do. Go back to sleep, Nick.
Lost a tooth last night. There's 25 cents under my pillow this morning. Amnon, what happened to our guest?
I have no earthly idea. I was
Did you
just
check
checking.
did you check your email?
I'm checking my email. I mean, I've got it open and
Okay.
nothing there. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Well, we can always reschedule.
Yeah. If something happened, then we'll reschedule it. I guess we're gonna have to reschedule it. But no, I mean, Nick, how much money did you spend on iPhones?
Total?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Roughly.
I think how many iPhones I've had. I've had 8 plus 6. I don't know, probably 3. I don't know, maybe $2,000. Because remember the original iPhones, you paid $200 for them. That was when cell phone carriers used to charge you $200 for the phone back in the early days of smartphones. So
yeah, but I mean, no, actual
maybe
money,
actual
money out of your pocket.
Maybe $2,000 or $3,000
over how many years?
As long as I've had smartphones.
What, 10 years?
Yeah, about 10 years.
Mike, how about you? You always had an iPhone?
No, I
Okay.
started out. I mean, no, I resisted for a long time. Well, I'm trying. I don't remember what all I had. I never had a BlackBerry, but I did have a Motorola.
Yeah.
What else did
See,
I have?
I'm just looking at like Gal. Did you always
Mm.
have an iPhone?
No, I remember iPhone coming out. I liked the idea, would never touch Apple
Okay.
because the way they treated
I,
their customers. I did buy from Samsung. I always bought my phones paid in full.
mm-hmm.
Um, I probably spent, and I'm talking just on my phone, right? Not family or
Right. Yeah.
anything. Uh, I would say I passed $4,000 on cell phones and such in the past 10 years.
So I'm looking at at me, and yes,
You
I
know
don't.
what? No, much less because only now I paid 650. Well, I take it back. Between 3,000 and 4,000 bucks for sure.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I never did use a smartphone, to its full potential. I would never, ever, ever pay $8,000, $9,000 for a phone. I'm doing just fine with $100 phone that's used, that's 3, 4 years old, and it's working.
Well, that's because you look at it only as a phone, and that's fine. If you let me ask you this: how much would you pay for a very good in 10 years? How much would you pay for laptops if you weren't stationary,
Yeah,
right?
you see,
If
that's
you
the thing that
right,
if I depended on it for business and for work, yeah, I would have to upgrade probably every 2, 3 years. Absolutely.
right.
But will I buy a $1,500 laptop? No, I will buy a $500 laptop that will probably do the same thing that I'm looking for from, unless I was an engineer and I need to render and all kind of stuff like, there's always
Yeah.
special groups that need to have the tops. But we're talking about phone to text, to take pictures, to talk. To me, it's to talk.
Right. For
Uh,
most consumers, I think talk is second place.
right, text.
Texting is probably number
Yeah,
one, and I don't know where photography comes, whether it's second or third place, right? And that will bump
right.
down
Yeah,
phone,
people.
right? So the good cameras, right? The
Mhm.
good cameras, texting isn't an issue, but the good cameras, they're only at the more expensive end.
Right. And yes, we all need the 22 megabit, megapixel cameras, right?
Well, it's not about need, but once you drive, so I mean, if you look at the market,
Yeah.
and once the cameras are out there, uh, it's usually like between 6 months to a year where the ingenuity of using the higher resolution comes in, and things start to kick in, and suddenly, yes, everybody wants that camera because suddenly you can do things that you never thought you would even want to.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, when it comes to technology, so those dash cams that
Mhm.
people put in their cars, I can tell you that if you have a dash cam with 720p or 180p, right,
Yeah.
they're useless. They're useless because the details that you want a dash cam to capture, things like license plates,
Mhm.
right, unless they're dead in front of you,
Mhm.
you won't see them.
Right.
We had a situation where Maddie, my wife, she got hit in the back, standing in a red light. The guy in front of her, probably messing up with his phone or whatever, right? Uh, Bumped her in the back.
Mhm.
Luckily, the damage was really minimal, but he bumped her anyway. She goes out and she has a dash cam, so she's only recording what's in front.
Mhm.
So I can, on the video, I can hear her leaving the car, going to talk with him, and he's shouting, "No damage, no damage." But he does follow her to a place to where they can discuss getting details.
Mhm.
She pulls to one side. He and he pulls to the other side of the street. So if the camera is in front and looking, I see the car on the edge of the frame doing a U-turn.
Mhm.
The license plate is right in front of the camera, but on the side,
Mhm.
right? So the lens curve and everything does not capture all the details properly. And no matter what enhancing technology I tried throwing it at, and there's a lot of excellent forensics application, open source or for testing, and there's a lot of uh, good tools on the net.
Mhm.
There's not enough pixels, there's not enough data to see that detail.
When you zoom into it.
Yeah, and the guy, he made a U-turn. He went out of the car, and when Mati went to the car to get a pen, he jumped into his car and drove away. So, other than a police report that something happened, we
Yeah.
have no identity of the person. There's no cameras around
Mhm.
in any other location around that stoplight to identify the car, right? So there's just a police report, and that's it.
Interesting.
He isn't in danger, not really, unless he comes face to face with Mati. She'll recognize him and say, "That's him," right? So, and the camera is 180. It's an excellent camera, but
It's
it's not
not
enough to capture the details, the
Yeah.
important details. So
Yeah.
yeah, everybody needs those 4K cameras, because otherwise they're not, even if all you need is for 5 seconds in a certain day of the year, right? That's what you need. So yeah. So
Okay.
when it comes to security cameras, when it comes to dash cams, when it comes to a camera that's next to you 24/7, I would say go as high as you can, because this is going to save you one time.
Interesting. Okay. All right. All right. I still don't see anything from our guest in the email, so we'll leave it at that. Okay, well, it's that time of day. Anybody else has anything else to add? Steve, Mike?
I did notice something over my daughter had a party for a friend of hers, and she had some little party favors that had some little glue dots in the package. I won't get into the whole thing, but go to glue dot or gluedots.com. I think it's gluedots.com. They have these little adhesive dots and squares like snot, and I'll tell you, those suckers stick like crazy. If you're interested in having some neat little things to play with, you might want to get some of those. They are amazing how well they stick. I believe the ones we had were the permanent versions. The only ones I've seen are the temporary removable versions. But what the heck is this? But
Would you recommend me getting them and putting them all over my apartment?
you need to get them and put them between your upper lip and your lower lip.
Oh,
And get the permanent version.
jeez,
Oh.
Louise. What about some liquid cement? Would that help me out as well?
If you let it dry well, yes. It's called barge cement.
Yeah, it's glue dots with an S.
With an S.
.com.
I'm going to get some of it, but I was stunned how well it works.
There you go.
Saw
Okay.
something pop up last night just before I turned in. There's been a bidding war going on for Sky in the UK, Sky TV. Comcast has won the bid over 21st Century's Fox.
I feel sorry for you.
$39 billion.
How much?
$39 billion they're going to
Wow.
buy Sky.
Impressive.
I mean, Comcast, why aren't they putting that money into fiber infrastructure? What's the matter with them?
They don't see money from fiber.
Shocking. But yeah, they're the new owner of Sky, so they beat out 21st Century Fox. Good on them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to have great customer service.
I wouldn't say that.
Class.
They've got a big base, that's for sure.
All right. Anything else? Guess not. All right.
Nope.
So thanks, Nick, Mike, Gal, Steve, and everybody
you.
else that's been listening. Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac. No, I'm Katie and Dana. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, remember to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Nick, you're doing a show tonight, right?
That's the plan.
Yep. So tonight at 7, Nick Craig hosts Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. And you can listen on tuning. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.